A great monk lay on his deathbed. The crowd leaned in to hear his final words, expecting wisdom that would echo through generations. But instead, he whispered something strange. Never allow a cat into your life. And with that, he took his last breath. Everyone was stunned. What could he possibly have meant? Why a cat? And why choose that as the very last message to leave behind? This mystery would haunt his young successor until one day, the truth was finally revealed. The young monk, now carrying the weight of leadership, couldn't shake those last words. He replayed them endlessly. Why should I never allow a cat into my life? His confusion grew deeper until at last, an old monk who had lived beside the master for decades pulled him aside. He smiled knowingly and said, "Perhaps you don't know the story, but I do." And what he revealed would forever change how the young successor understood his master's warning. Long before he became a revered teacher, the master was a young man who gave up everything, his home, his wife, his children, in search of truth. He retreated into the forest, living in a small bamboo cottage built for him by villagers who admired his devotion. With nothing but 2 simple robes, he spent his days meditating, detached from the world. But then came a problem he hadn't expected. Rats. The rats chewed through his clothing, leaving him constantly frustrated. One villager suggested an easy solution: keep a cat. It will chase them away. It seemed harmless enough. The master accepted the gift, and soon the rats were gone. But peace didn't last long, because now he had to feed the cat. To solve this new problem, another villager suggested, keep a cow. Its milk will feed both you and the cat. It sounded sensible. Soon the master had a cow beside his hut, and while it solved one issue, it created another. A cow needed grass, care, and constant attention. What began as one small choice was slowly becoming something larger, and the master didn't even notice. Villagers stepped in again. A monk shouldn't worry about these tasks. There's a widow in the village with no family. She can tend the cow, cook meals, and help care for you. It sounded practical, even compassionate. The widow moved in, and life grew easier. But as days turned into months, something else grew too: their bond. Working side by side, the young widow and the monk grew closer. Affection blossomed, and eventually, their relationship crossed a line. Soon, a child was born. The monk who once renounced family now worked tirelessly to provide for one. Meditation turned into farming. Silence turned into domestic life. And one night, exhausted after another day in the fields, he realized the truth. He had renounced the world, only to fall right back into it. And it had all started with the cat. The old monk finished the story, looked at the young successor and said, "When the master warned you about the cat, he wasn't talking about an animal. He was talking about the mind. Even the smallest indulgence, the tiniest distraction, if left unchecked, will take over your life before you even realize it." That's the danger of the mind. It doesn't demand everything all at once. It just asks for a little. Just one time. Just one excuse. But once you give in, it wants more. That's how habits form. That's how addictions grow. That's how we lose control without ever noticing the moment it happened. The master's final words seemed strange, almost foolish, to those who heard them. But hidden in that single warning was the deepest truth. Downfall never begins with something massive. It begins with something small. A cat, a distraction, a single indulgence we think we can control. And just like that monk, we too risk losing ourselves, not because of one grand mistake, but because of the little things we allow again and again. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's the cat in your life right now? What's the small thing you've let slip in that could one day grow into something you never wanted? If this story made you reflect, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs this reminder today. And if you'd like more stories with hidden truths like this, stick around. Because sometimes, the smallest lessons carry the biggest warnings.